I've shared this with groups. I was actually just in Arizona. I shared this with the group of teachers I work with because I used to ref basketball. And I said, you probably felt like this. When you ref a basketball game, you are wrong 100% of the time
Right.
to at least 50% of the people, right? And then if you make a
Correct.
different call, the other 50% could be mad at you,
Right.
right? And
Right.
people
That's right.
totally like, oh my God, that's
That's
exactly how
right.
they felt, right?
It
So
is right.
here's something that this is the last question I ask you. One of the things I find about writing books, especially when you're gleaning insights from other people from different, you know, districts, different areas, different people, and different scenarios, that there's sometimes I'm like I'm writing this book, but where I needed this advice so badly. Like I wish I would have like known this before. And so you're getting all these different perspectives. Is there something that when
Mhm.
you're reading it and you're going through what other people are sharing, that you're like, here's something that would have really
Oh
benefited
my
me that I wish
gosh.
I have, right?
Wow. That is such a good question. I mean, there are so many
Mm,
things. I'm trying to think of like one that comes to mind.
yeah.
Mary Elizabeth Davis, she was a superintendent in Cherokee County, I think was where she was.
Mhm.
Um, she talked about, and it goes back to this idea of district teams and how it wasn't really advice. It's just this idea that I think her quote, and it was something around, before the pandemic, district teams were kind of a nice to have. I'm smaller districts. It's nice to have a district team that you can lean in on and help you through crisis. But after the pandemic, she reflected on the fact that it's not a nice to have. It's an essential.
Mm.
It's what you talked about. It's essentially you have to have a district team that you can rely on, and this idea of really effective leaders hire people that complement their skills, but it's okay if you disagree with them. And it was in the context of crisis management. So I think as you ask that question, my first year, or maybe my first, maybe even 5 years, I, I, I don't think I understood the power of really how to hire effective leaders. You just don't really know how to do that because you're too busy just managing your district. So I'd have to kind of, figure out how to articulate that a little clearer, but, really understanding how critical it is to hire an effective district team. I think I was okay at it, but really the power of that in your first couple of years.
I'll be honest with you, I was really good at it. And the reason why I would say I was really good at it, because when I was hired into administration, I got in a fight with the principal in the interview. And I was like, that was the worst interview I've ever had in my life. And he hired me.
Mhm.
And he told me, he
Fantastic.
said, I hired you
Because
because
you
you're the only
challenged
person who
me.
pushed back on anything I said. And I remember this is that he said to me, listen, at the end of the day, when I make the call, you got to back me up, right?
Mhm.
But don't let me ever go out there and make a decision you think is bad without saying something, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
so
great.
like I need you
Hmm.
to, I don't need he's and so when I actually became principal, the first person I hired was a teacher on that staff who challenged me on everything. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
that's who I want, because like she's seeing things I don't see and she connects with people I
yeah,
don't connect with.
yeah.
And it was the same mentality. And it's like that to me is really, really helpful, is that you should never hire clones of yourself because you already have you.
Hmm.
So I love
Right.
that's a really, and that's probably like the one thing I was good at was, looking at
I'm
people
sure you were good
who
at a
did it,
lot of things,
yeah, but
George.
that was like, I just
Yeah,
knew that was
diverse
so,
perspectives are, I think,
yeah.
so important. And it's really hard your first couple of years as a superintendent to
Mhm.
take, I guess it's taking the time to reflect and strategize and,
Right.
know that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't think I would have ever done it if I wouldn't have, like, not only did I was like, that
experience
was the
that.
worst interview I've ever had in my life, and I got hired from it. And the
Fantastic.
reason he actually, like, he baited me. It was interesting. Like, he baited me to
Yeah.
see would I push back. And
Yeah.
it was just really, really helpful. So I love that takeaway.